Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Hot Rod Barbecue Podcast. I am, of course, Mike Musto, joined by our Minister of Possibilities,
Ooh, Dan Stoner.
Dan Stoner.
Love that.
How you doing, Dan?
Love that. Good, man. How you? I'm glad you brought that up. You drug that up from the nether reaches.
I think that title is it's broad and yet focused, and
I gotta give credit where credit's due. That title was actually, and that was a real world title on a business card that a local tech startup back in like the early 2000s actually paid money to fulfill. So you could actually join an early tech startup here in San Francisco, and your title, in all sincerity, it wasn't even a tongue-in-cheek thing at that point. It was like a minister of possibilities. Like, are you kidding me? And I heard about that. I was like, I'm reappropriating.
I'm taking that.
I'm taking it. I can't not take that.
Yeah, I think that's such a great title. I mean, if we could get away with putting that on our business cards,
we should start our own country, our own just authoritarian country, our own authoritarian regime, and we'll have like a layer of ministers, and that will be one of them. That'll be one of the positions.
I like that. I think we need to start a Hemmings nation with Minister of Possibilities, Dan Stoner in control.
A full cabinet.
A full cabinet.
Ministers of possibilities.
So on this episode, this is actually a really fun one. Our guest today is Mr. Larry Kosilla of AmmoNYC. Now, for those that don't know Larry is literally one of the premier detailers in the whole world, like on this, big blue dot that's floating out in space. Larry is the guy that takes care of your cars, basically redefined an entire industry. I've known Larry going on 15 years. Really interesting story, really insightful and everything. Not only through detailing, but just in business as well. So,
he's the guy you want detailing your car, right? Like he's the manic, guy who's he's rail thin. He's really lean. You can tell he spends all his energy on a DA, grinder, like a polisher. That guy, the first time you introduced me to him, Mike, he was almost vibrating, and that was like at 9:30 in the morning, and that's just Larry on a Wednesday morning, and you could tell that he was really wanted to spend his time back in the shop getting his hands dirty on something as opposed to talking to us. He barely tolerated us while we were there. It was time to get back to detailing. That's the guy you want. Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, he's wealth of knowledge. So, grab a beer, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, and sit down and listen to this one because this is good. But before we get into Larry, we've actually pulled a really cool car out of our Hemmings classified section. As you know, 25 to 30,000 cars, the largest classified section, both online and in print, as well as take a look at our auction site, which, I mean, if you want it, odds are we got it. So go back, take a look at the auction site, Hemmings.com. Larry, when I first met him, this is what he drove, a 1994 Chevrolet Impala SS.
Oh, the bathtub of SS's.
Yeah, it is. It actually is.
Cool. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I remember when these things were new. It was such a big deal when these things came out.
Yeah.
It's a Corvette underneath there. Underneath all that metal, there's a Corvette,
Was this in the ad? I believe this was, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Lord Vader, your car is ready.
Oh, is that, I always think of the Grand National as the Vader of muscle, but yeah, that's probably a good point. That's probably a good point.
Vader, I got to look this up for those out there. Is ready. Let me see. I just want to make sure. Hey, boom, that's the one.
Is that the one?
Yeah, and that was literally the ad. Lord Vader, your car is ready. I mean, if that doesn't paint an image.
Yes.
In your head. And these were great cars. They're basically, based off the big Chevrolet Caprices of yesteryear that were taxi cabs in every major city. I believe it's LT1, 260 horsepower, a Barcalounger on wheels.
Yeah. Right.
But just a great all-around family muscle sedan. And, they're starting to get a real cult following out there. They really are.
I will tell you, Mike, just from personal experience, to this day, now I don't see very many, mid 90s Impala SSs on the road anymore. You just don't see them, right? But I will tell you, along with that same era of Crown Vic, I've got it burned in my mind and in my memory of what the headlight configuration of those cars look like. Because when I
Oh,
see one of those in your rearview mirror,
that's right.
like you tap the brakes, you turn the radio down, you roll down the window, air it out a little bit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You start looking for your registration,
Yep.
So to this day, if I see one of these things roll up behind me, like I said, which is rare,
Still get that little pit.
dude, I'm already looking for my registration. Both hands on the
Right.
wheel. Yeah. 10 and 2.
Right. The fantastic car. So guys, go to the classified section, click on the link and check it out. Ryan, our producer, is going to put some photos in here for you guys to look at. But otherwise, just stay tuned. We'll be back in a few seconds with our special guest, Larry Kosilla. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. As mentioned earlier, we have a very special guest today on the Hot Rod Barbecue podcast. It is Mr. Larry Kosilla. He might not be good looking, but damn, is he good at what he does.
Wow.
My God.
That is an
detailer
intro
extraordinaire.
to end all intros. Yes, thank you.
What an intro.
You like that, right? See,
Yeah.
I can say that because I've known Larry for 15 years. So, but I do have to tread lightly because Larry kind of knows where all my bodies are buried. And well,
That's
I
true.
know
That's
that
very
about him.
true.
So this is kind of why we're friends. How you doing, buddy?
I am well. Yourself? How's everything going out there? It's 30 something degrees, wind chill and snowing. How's it in horrible where
Wow.
you live there? 85,
horrible.
90 and what?
I mean, by me, today's supposed to be 68 and sunny all day. Dan?
Oh, dude. Hey, look, in the city here, it's already 68 and sunny. And I think it's just going to remain that way. It's the San Diego of the winter here in San Francisco.
There you go.
There
you
very
go.
consistent. And Larry, by the way, I think the last time that we were there with you at your shop, you were just getting it started and it was still as cold as it is right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like
It was about a year ago. Actually, probably
yeah.
about a year ago when you guys
It was
were
probably
here.
March.
Yeah. No,
February.
I don't think you were March. I think you were
February, something like that. I forget when
something
that
like
was.
that.
But
Yeah.
It was cold. It was cold.
It was cold.
If you look
Connecticut cold.
ish. All these things right there are all steel frame. So the whole thing is steel. And what I'm understanding is the steel collects the cold, I'm guessing, or the moisture.
Yeah.
And so whatever you do, it's just always freezing in this building, which is great in the summertime, obviously, but is horrific in the wintertime when you're trying to work. But it's better than being outside.
So where are you right now, Larry? Are you in your new building?
Yeah, I'm in the new building, third floor, the podcast studio. If you can see back here, when it gets in the summertime, I just put an air conditioner back there because we're on the third floor. It gets pretty hot, but otherwise it's insulated, and all of the ceilings here are all special sheetrock that insulates the sound. So like right now, I have some guy downstairs working on we have a Celine S7 that needs some extra work or whatever, and he's making noise. He's got a compressor and he's doing some repair things to it. But I can't hear it because all the walls are insulated, which was a big deal. So
that's great.
Yeah. But at the same time, when it's hot in here. When it's cold in here. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before we get into this, I want to preface Larry for everybody. So most people know who he is. I would say anybody in the car world knows who he is. But for those that don't, so I've known Larry for going on 15 years right now. This is a man that has literally single-handedly changed, in my opinion, the detail industry, how products have come to market, how products are viewed, how detailing is viewed. And more important, he has become kind of the unofficial and world ambassador for car care in general. I give him shit from time to time because I love him to death, but he is an authority. He is one of those guys that knows more about this industry than just about anybody. So when he talks, just shut up and listen because the man knows his stuff. So with that being said, Larry, I want to go back into how this all started. And I mean, I know how it started because I was there. But when did you first see a need for detailing? How did you first get into it? Was it something as a child that you were just like, I just need stuff to be clean? Like, walk us through that process.
And where did the name come from? That's what I'm curious about too.
Yeah, that'll come in a little bit, and that's actually part of the progression. But that's a really good question. Everybody asks that same thing, like, what the heck did ammo come from? But to going back to Mike's first, start chronologically. It's not very sexy, but I, as a small child, 5, 6, 7 years old, whatever you want to call it. I think I was actually 5 in this picture. It's a picture that means a lot to me. But I walked into the kitchen, and my mom said that I asked for dish soap. And I put it in a bucket and I walked outside and I cleaned, they had those like little pedal cars. Now they're worth, they're worth $10,000 or whatever, but I'm sure we tossed it the next day or whatever. The metal with the real metal ones. and I wanted to wash it. And sure enough, my mother took a picture of it, and my socks are all pulled up, and I have my Yankee hat on sideways, but like a little 5-year-old or whatever. And so she just said that I was obsessed with, or fanatical about cleaning everything. I just liked the order. And she thought, as a mother, like, wow, that's a little weird, but okay, like he's not like jumping off the roof or something. So he wants to clean stuff. Who cares, right? So that kind of progressed forever. And that was like the running joke with Larry. He always likes things clean and clean and clean and clean. Okay, so fast forward until Mike, you know more about this, and I talk a little bit about it here and there, but I'm not super excited to chat about it a lot. As I grew up, I wanted to leave my house more and more. I'm sure every person can read the lines there. So when I got to the position or when I was 16 or 17, like the day of, you get your license, all that kind of thing, the car equaled freedom. Like, it's pretty simple. It's not really complicated. Like, I got in my car, I closed the door, all the yelling and whatever, I could just leave and I was in charge. I could go left, right, all the cliches that you could make there. And so I just transferred this love of cleaning to the fact that this car, this horse, this was my salvation. I can cry and do all this stuff, but I've said the story 1,000 times. You get in the thing, you close the door, you turn the key, you make sure the gas is in it, and you go. When I combined the two of them is when kind of the explosion happened for me. So it's not, sometimes people say like, are you just, fanatical about cleaning cars? I'm like, yes, but it's different than that. Meaning, and the example I give is, let's say you want to be, I'm making this up, a zillionaire or a billionaire, whatever. You're not obsessed usually with collecting square pieces of paper that are green with dead presidents on it, right? Money, right?
Right.
No one wants those pieces of paper. You want what those pieces of paper can give you, can do for you, can make you feel a certain way, right? So to some degree, I didn't necessarily like or want to be a detailer. I just loved the feeling and the emotion that it gave me when something was clean. It meant order, and it meant that everything was right in the world, believe it or not, tongue in cheek, however, as corny as that sounds. And then I could get in that bucket with wheels that could get me away from whatever was bothering me equals freedom. So the combination of those two things. Now, I didn't know that when I was 17 years old. It was like, I want to be cool. I want my car to look awesome, and I want to get the hell out of here. That's literally all it was. And then it grew over time into this fanatical whatever. And then I was just on another podcast, ironically, with the actor from the show Evil. There's a CBS show Evil. He's an actor, blah, blah, blah. We were doing this podcast together, and I was explaining the same thing where it was like, I haven't really figured that out until maybe a couple of months ago. And I know that sounds weird, but as soon as the building was done, and I've talked to you, Mike, from a personal level offline, and been like, okay, now what? I just built this crazy, thing to Larry and Ammo. I finished it. Everybody left. They gave me a little hard hat with all their signatures on it, and I put it on the refrigerator. I opened up the refrigerator. There was nothing in there, and I went, all right, now what do I do? Like that.
What do I do now?
Yeah. So I started thinking back to all these things and like, what am I doing this for? Why do I get up? So I'm in like that midlife crisis, maybe. I don't know, maybe not crisis, but midlife thought process. Sure. Anyways, as I go back and rethink about this, I didn't know it at the time, but I think I was obsessed with cleaning cars, but it's more than that. It was the freedom plus I love the order of cleaning and the therapeutic, curative nature of it. And you combine all of that, and then it turns into a career. So that's kind of where everything got started as a young person. Sure. And then as we sort of transitioned into your next question as to like, where did I go from there? I was like, man, this is cool. I can make some money on the side and clean cars and sort of, again, I didn't know it at the time, but be present, which is a big issue. I'm not present. That's like my soft underbelly of like where I'm failing, I think, I don't know, as a dad or a person or whatever. I'm not really present. I'm the joke, which isn't really a joke. It's more of my agony here, is I'm never in the place I'm supposed to be. That's kind of like my therapist thing. Like, I'm never in the place I'm supposed to be. Like right now I'm on the podcast with you. I'm thinking of 4 other things I should be doing, which doesn't do any good because I'm not really here. So I've been trying to figure out that whole process. But anyways, in that learning curve, as I was, figuring out that I was present for the first time ever while doing something like cleaning a car, because if you don't do it right, you scratch it or whatever, there was consequences. You need to pay attention. I realized that I could make a business and a living and all that. Now you fast forward, I went to fancy schools, where I went, all these, everybody's supposed to be a lawyer and a broker and all this other, things that just wasn't me. And I went to school because I was an athlete or whatever. So I got to hide under, I got to go with a bunch of rich people basically.
Sure.
And I was the poor kid that could play sport, which was great. It was fine. And so then I went to fancy high school, college. And then when you get out, you're supposed to be the broker. You're supposed to be the doctor. And I went to be the broker guy, where like you're making
Sure.
they were making zillions of dollars. And my job was to watch all their money and make sure that someone who they saw who was like insane and fanatical and fastidious about everything, they're like, I want that guy watching my money. Right. So I would calculate all the money that he made. Long story short, I was miserable. And I'm like, do I want to make a lot of money, i.e. green pieces of paper, or do I want to go play with cars? And then that's when the transition happened. And the rest, we can talk about the rest of that. But that's kind of the behind the scenes where like this whole, I didn't just wake up one day like, I want to be a detailer and I want to be the best detailer in the world and I want to create a product line. It didn't.
Sure.
Things don't work that way.
So that, I guess that's going to bring me to the next part. So just to give everybody a little background, when Larry and I first met, we both kind of grew up in New York in the metro area. Larry had started this thing called the New York Motor Club, which was this great club that brought everybody who was like-minded and auto enthusiasts together. And we used to do drives on the weekends and things like that. And it was a great way to bring people together.
To drive your car.
Yeah, it was. It was absolutely an excuse to get out for 3-4 hours on a Sunday morning or whatever the case is, go for a nice 100-mile run or whatever. Back then it was a small little shop in New Rochelle, freezing, which actually from that perspective, not much has changed. Or in Harrison, New York. Not much has changed.
There's a theme.
Yeah, it was cold back then. It's cold now. Larry just gravitates towards misery.
That's so funny. And my wife is, why don't you turn the heat on? I was like, what are you talking?
Be comfortable?
What? No. There's definitely an underlying tone where if Larry is not miserable at work, he doesn't work. He's not happy. Like Larry can't go to work and be like, the sun is shining and there are butterflies out. That won't work.
I'm a masochist. Like snagging.
Completely.
Matter of fact, Larry, that is kind of a goth setup you've got there with the, everything's covered up black. I'm looking for.
I know it's all in black.
Yeah.
Those back there for the sound thing, but yes.
Oh God. Okay. Very goth.
At what point? So you started detailing and you started seeing a need for product, and this was very interesting. And like I said, because I've kind of been there with him through this process. At what point did the light bulb go off where you would use a product, or then you would think to yourself, wait, I need something. I don't know what it is, but I know it doesn't exist yet. And how did that come about by where you said, okay, I'm identifying this need. Now I got to figure out how to solve it just to provide myself with the tools that I need. Right. So when did that spark go off in your head?
Right. So there's a little bit of a twist to that, because I do think it's, again, and I'll say it a couple of times, cliche, and it's easy to say that there wasn't something there. Like I didn't see something there and I needed to make it for me because it didn't exist. Right. And that's kind of like a quick way of saying something that's a little bit deeper than that. So that's not 100% true. The truth of it is, the quick backstory is somebody came into that Harrison shop that you're talking about and said, hey, they're called jobbers. And it's very common. A jobber would come by and it's basically a big van, a big truck, and it has 5-gallon containers of cleaning supplies. And it's just a normal thing. It's kind of like the Matco tool guys or whatever, where they come up
for detailing.
For detailing, right? So a guy came up to me one day and wanted to show me this great compound and polish. Excuse me. And I said, great. Come show it to me. And he's like, well, you're kind of known as the detailing guy and the guru, like, here it is. And I was like, listen, I just have a random product here. And he goes, I need you to take the product and I was like, listen, it's your product. You do your thing. Long and short of it is he picked up the polisher. I'll never forget this. It was a silver Mercedes wagon, Tad's wagon, by the way. You remember Tad?
Yeah, sure. A friend of ours.
So the guy put, back then it was rotary polishers. This is how I'm dating myself. Rotary polisher. He put it on there, burned right through the paint. Thank God it was that. I was like, whoa, looks like your paint's gone.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember looking at the guy. Now, this is the salesman, dude. The salesman for the product, who also was the guy who made the product. And I was like,
dude,
I don't know what to do with you right now. 1, get out of the shop. 2, I'm not going to buy your stuff, and blah, blah, blah. So it didn't work out, right? A couple of weeks later, the guys called me back and say like, hey, we would love to get your input. You're consulting. I was in my 20s. I didn't know.
Yeah, you were a kid.
I didn't know what the hell, I was like, consulting is great. And the fee was free products. Can you imagine that? I like saved his business and I got free products. But anyways, more abrasive, less abrasives, whatever in this particular product. Fast forward, I ended up doing more and more work with them. And eventually the chemist left. And then I started working with them and I started making the products myself. So that's kind of like a 5-year thing that I just crunched into 2 seconds. Now, the interesting part about it, it wasn't that, hey, there's not enough product out there and I didn't find what I was looking for, so I made it myself. It's like, okay, like you're thinking of Meguiar's and Mother's and Turtle Wax. You're talking about multi-billion-dollar conglomerates that can do pretty much anything. They have great stuff. They're great products. There's a lot of great companies. It's wonderful. The part that was missing, and I didn't realize this until later, was I believed that the company should be built and focused on detailers, meaning they make detailing products. They should be making detailing videos. They should be teaching detailing. Detailers should be doing all of these things. And when I looked at the company, I didn't have anybody to aspire to be. I didn't say like, that's someone that I think I want to emulate. That's someone that I admire or whatever. They're big corporations, which makes sense. And they were focused on quarterly earnings and all the things that they did. But there wasn't something, I didn't want to wear a patch on my shoulder. I didn't want to wear something on my chest that said XYZ company. And I love that. Remember the chopper, West Coast choppers
everybody had an icon on their shoulders or tap out or any of that junk.
Yes. You want to feel like you're part of a team, and there wasn't anything like that. And so I shy away from saying that the products weren't great because they make great stuff and it's wonderful. And I'm not being political. They're good. They're amazing. They're a zillion-dollar company. Of course they make good stuff, but there wasn't a why. There wasn't like I believe in this, so I'm going to spend extra money, or I'm going to work more. I'm going to take the 10 minutes to put the sticker on the back of my car. And I was like, this is weird. Products. And then I started going even more. And I say like the example of the dude coming in and burning the paint or whatever. I was like, products shouldn't be made in the boardroom. They should be made in the detailing bay and then taken there and then figured out in the chemistry. And so I had all these like grand ideas and grand schemes. Mind you, I was 20 years old with no money. And nobody understood who I was. YouTube wasn't around at that point.
Right. Sure.
And so I had no quote clout or anything. Right. So I had to, what we call swim upstream. I had to swim upstream through a bunch of people, what we call, I've done this too many times, 20th century thinkers, which is just basically old white dudes that have been doing it for 100 years and go like, what are you really 20-year-old? You think you're going to come and
revolutionize this?
Right. So I had like a really, I don't want to say tough time. It was helpful, and like looking back or whatever, I'm sure it, molded the way it was. It sucked. It just wasn't really cool. And so it was hard to kind of, I call it pulling the sleeve. Like you had to pull the sleeve on the guy, be like, listen, I really think this is a good idea. I really think this is and they're like, and so long story short, I was doing eventually the chemist for that guy that was buffing my paint. He owned the company and he was part of a larger organization. I came in, started doing some consulting, and then they retired, they left, whatever. And I was like, listen, I've been here for 2 years watching you bake this cake. Why don't I start baking this cake and following the formulas? You see my formula book, Mike. So I have thousands.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And we would come in and make and 330 totes, 330 gallon totes, 660 totes, all these crazy batches of whatever the heck I was making at the time. And so then you fast forward a little bit more, and I was like, listen, why don't we do this for the retail? Remember, that wasn't retail. Retail and wholesale,
that's right.
Distribution, wildly different markets, right? Again, at 24 or whatever I was years old, I didn't know any of this stuff. I just like, hey, I want to make, the first one was Tire Shine, which is my mud now today. I want to make the best tire shine in the world. So what I did was I took raw silicone, and I was like, I'm going to take, it's like eating diamonds so you can see your duty sprinkle, twinkle. You know what I mean? It's like really ridiculously over the top.
Yeah, I'm going to borrow that.
You know what I mean? So like I used straight silicone on the tire, which was like $4 a wipe or something like that, just to have like the most bling. And so then you mix and you play and you figure out what's profitable, what's not, and what can actually be done. And then I went from that perspective. Now what happens at that point is you go to the guy who's running the company. I'm like, listen, I don't know if this is hand sanitizer, but I think I can make this in a 16 ounce and it's going to go retail. And I remember him looking, and it was out of a movie, Mike. It's central casting. I couldn't believe it's like this. You know who I'm talking about. Don't mention his name.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Big belly like this, leaning back in his chair. He goes, you think you're going to compete with Meguiar's and Mother's and on the retail market on the show? Like, it's really cute. He's metaphorically.
I know he was an ass. He was a real
rubbing my hair, and I wanted to jump across and but I'm 20 and I'm going like, I have like $400 to my name or whatever. And this dude's writing me the checks. Right. And so I was like, I think I can. And he's like, how do you think you're different than them? And I was like, well, there's this little thing called YouTube. Like the YouTube's what I was like, yeah, this YouTube. I think like I'll teach people how to do it. And I remember like, I think it's awesome. I don't think it's gonna like it's not gonna work. So why don't you? And this is just an idea. Why don't you be quiet and go downstairs and go make those products and put them on the van? And I was like, oh, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So we had a disagreement. Long story short, the next day I came in, the building was closed to me. All my keys were messed up. And the Impala, you remember this, was in the building.
Yeah.
My computers, my
everything,
all my like college hockey stuff, all that stuff was there, and I couldn't get access to it. And then I started kicking the door and the whole 9 yards. And I said, I'm gonna like.
I remember that phone call.
I was like, I'm going to destroy this building if I don't at least get my Impala out, because at that point, that's where I lived. I mean, I was sleeping in Matt's driveway in the Impala.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't have a place to stay at this point. I need that Impala. You can keep everything out. And so somebody came in and let it out. So we had this big disagreement, which was weird. And I said, hey, I think we should go retail. And he said, I think you're crazy. And the rest is sort of history. So I took all of my knowledge, all my things, and then I basically baked my cake somewhere else and made the products just for me. The intention was not necessarily to go to retail market. I just had to survive. I had to detail cars, and I wanted to make it with the best stuff. So that all kind of went. All of this is all kind of happening at the same time, and then YouTube happened, and then JF and the whole Drive channel and the whole thing. So I mean, you can ask me 1,000 questions from there, but that's where. Does that make sense? Is that enough backstory?
Sure. Yeah, I think that everybody needs, any type of business when they start it. I think a lot of it is failure, right? You keep getting told no until you just kind of get back on your haunches and go, no, I'm right. I know the way to do this. And I don't say this, lightly. I mean, I witnessed him go through a lot of no's, a lot of rejection, a lot of partners, a lot of everything until the time came to count 100% on himself as opposed to somebody else. And that's, for me personally, that's where a huge transformation came, right? And then YouTube came around, and we were fortunate because we were there from the inception, right? We were there kind of from the beginning, and I think that's a very fortunate thing. However, what was interesting was the way that you tackled video. It wasn't, and there has never been, in my opinion, a direct sales push. It's been through education. And I cite examples like this all the time for people that want to know how to do it correctly, right? Larry never came on and said, you need to buy this product because it's amazing. Instead, it was, this is what I'm doing. Let me show you the right way to do things. And there was this product in the background. So when that happened,
technical aspect, think about it. It was I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to be what it was before, where I was saying before, I wasn't inspired by anybody. So I'm not saying there wasn't any products out there for me and I had to create my own. Like, okay, to some degree, yes, I have 5 products that I invented. Okay, fine. But I wasn't inspired. I didn't want to wear the jacket like Jesse James. Like I thought I was aside from all the crap that he's doing now, but like back then, West Coast Chop, the whole thing, like, I was awesome. I mean, you look like a man, you feel inspired when you're wearing it. I don't, me, I don't ride a motorcycle. I just thought it was freaking awesome. Right. Yeah. And there wasn't that. So in those videos, to your point, I just wanted people to be happy and excited and inspired. Like, get out and go clean your car, as dorky as that sounds. And if you buy ammo, freaking awesome. Thank you. This is amazing. But you don't have to go buy whatever, I can't afford this, or I'm really loyal to this brand. Great. I don't want to say I don't care, because of course I care. I want to grow the business. I'm a capitalist. I'm an American, the whole thing. Like, of course I want to be successful. Who doesn't want to be successful? But not at the point where it's like, hey guys, on today's episode, we're going to,
right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, come on, dude. He wants to be sold to, right? I don't want to be the guy buffing through the paint in the guy's shop, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that on YouTube. So to your point, that was what I was going for.
So I guess going back to Mr. Stoner's question, the name.
Yeah.
Ammo. Very, very complicated. It's very simple. I was doing a guy's car who shall remain unnamed, but an extremely famous dude. And what I would do is, when the car is there, I kind of like, again, I get in my zone or whatever, and I put all the stuff, in this case, all my tools, and I won't use the name because it'll give it away, but all the stuff around the car, detailing, supplies, towels, whatever. And I like to do that so that I can kind of do this, not dance or whatever. That's a little hokey, but I just don't want to walk too far away to go get stuff. I mean, it's pretty logical, right? And I didn't have a shop at that time. And so this guy came in and goes, wow, you have a lot of ammo around here. And I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Ammo, 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 ammo,
Yeah.
ammo,
Cool.
ammo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Larry's head explodes from the inside. Yeah.
right. And I was like, cool. And so then I said, hey, wouldn't that be cool? Now, mind you, this is all going on at the same time. It's not like I did this and then this happened. There's like 5 things happening at once. So this is about the time that I was like fiddling around with that tire shine, where I was making like a $400 bottle of tire shine. Just I thought it would be amazing to like use like pure silicone. I mean, that's insane. It's like I said, sprinkling gold in your food just to see your, anyways, or diamonds in your food. So at that point, I was like, man, if I put ammo on the side of that bottle, that would be pretty sweet, right? I thought it would be cool because at that point I had the van. You remember my big van, the big diesel
of course, yeah, big E350.
I wanted to have all the ammo. When I opened up the van, slid the door, that I would see all the ammo like lined up.
Yeah.
To me, that was the tits. I was like, I've made it if I can do that. And so that's why I put these little paper labels, which by the way, is when you come into my building, hopefully at some point when COVID's whatever, you come see the building. As soon as you walk into my building, I have the first bottles ever that were made out of paper.
Yeah.
The paper is coming off. So those are really meaningful to me. But that was the one that I made to sort of be like, when I roll up to a customer's house with my van and then I pull out, which I changed the name of the company at that point. It was New York Motor Club, like you just said.
Yeah.
I changed it to AMMO NYC, New York City.
Yep.
Imagine pulling your own product out and then using it. Like think of the feeling that the customer gets, like, geez, I'm getting like, I don't know, Ralph Lauren like is knitting my clothes, putting it on me or so. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That kind of analogy. It's not a good one, but you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
So that's where the name sort of came from. And then I always think it's cool to have a name that's not like, and again, I'm not like bashing anybody else, but like, you know, Larry's detailing juice. It's like, I mean, it's cool. It's whatever. But like the biggest computer in the world is called Apple. Like what has nothing to do with a computer. It's Apple. Like, remember ammo, like what?
Right.
So that kind of analogy, I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. It's not Larry Kosilla's detailing juice or whatever.
Right.
It didn't have quite the same ring as ammo. I mean, it's like punch you in the face. So all of that combined, that's where sort of ammo went. And then at the same time with the YouTube channel starting to take off and the drive channel, this is about the drive channel-ish time. And that's, you know, you can speak more to that, but that's when things started to, I don't want to say take off, but I got a little bit more recognition on that global stage where the person that we were alluding to before, the big belly guy or whatever, that's when we had parted ways at that point. But I remember his son reaching out and going like, because his son was younger watching YouTube, like, oh crap, I can't believe like, now getting this. I'm at the same level of this bigger company. When I say bigger, it's a tiny little company, but I was nothing. I was at that same level like that overnight, meaning a year or whatever it was to get where this 10-year company was, all because YouTube and because I was teaching people how to do things. I mean, it's basic stuff back then. You know what I mean? So, I mean, YouTube's changed, but you get my point.
So is that when the light bulb went off to say, okay, well, I know that I'm onto something, right? I found this medium to express and to kind of be an inspiration to these people. I mean, I know where it started out, you know, if people were back in, you know, early 2000s and whatnot, or I want to say the 2008, 9, 10, around there, right? You know, YouTube has changed drastically over the years. So how have you had to adapt to those changes, and more so about the competition? Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are doing how-to videos. They're doing, you know, instructional things like that. There are a lot of people who are detailers and products that have tried to follow in your footsteps. So how have you adapted to that, not only the competition, but the change that has come into the market because of YouTube and because of video in general?
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's an excellent question. That's a 4-hour explanation, but the short answer is YouTube has changed drastically from when you and I started to what it is now. In terms of people, remember, YouTube 1 was brand new. 2, it was really focused on how to, right? And so over the time from whenever we started in 2000, what blah, 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 to whatever it is now, 10, 15 years ago, whatever it was, YouTube was, hey, I don't know how to change the bulb in my toilet bowl. How do I do that? Step 1, do this. Step 2, step 3. So it solved the problem, right? Very basic, very nothing sexy, nothing quote entertaining about that, right? Now over time, as things have grown, right? The cable channels are under pressure, all these other things, the drive channel pops out, you know, because of that, as you know. And then now with people watching most of the TV or whatever on their phones and all of that, it's become more entertainment. So if I've started the company in this how-to way, how to, and then it starts to morph into this entertainment. You have to kind of change the content if you want to continue to stay relevant. And so for me, that was kind of the big metamorphosis of probably the last 1.5 to 2 years. Why? Because when I first started, literally, not figuratively, literally the only detailer, from what I understand, on YouTube. There wasn't anybody on YouTube, so it's very easy to be like the niche of the niche of the niche. Like who's detailing videos, right? Now, completely different. I'm amongst a sea of a gazillion people who have even more subscribers than I do because they do different things. And the different things that they do is not instruct. So somebody who has, I don't even know, hundreds and hundreds of videos, call it 400 or 500 videos or whatever it is. Somebody who has 20 videos will have more subscribers than me overnight. Why? Because of the education. It's education versus entertainment. So if they're focused on entertainment or ASMR, right? We all know ASMR, right? Or whatever is the trending thing, which is very smart. It don't hate the player, hate the game kind of thing. Very smart way to play it. They'll instantly jack up because they'll get, 10 million views on a video because you hear this.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I'm saying? And you're like, how is that bringing any value to anyone? But I get it. You can't be angry. That's the game. So I have no hate towards any of those other guys. It's just not the game. It's not fulfilling to me to be like, now we're going to detail a car. Having said that, I will tell you that I've leaned a little bit towards there because it's hard not to do that, because you know how much it costs to shoot all these videos and do this. It's like,
it's absurd. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars in time. Nobody understands. Well, that's, excuse me. That's a big thing that we always talk about is nobody understands the actual cost of video production, and whether it is a full production, I want to say a 12-minute, 15-minute video, 18-minute video, right? Or something as short as say 2 to 3 minutes. A good 2 to 3 minute video has to be planned out with the same dedication as a 15-minute video. And a lot of times it can cost just as much. And that's what I think just the industry doesn't understand. It's not like everybody just goes out, because this is my favorite. Just take your iPhone and go out and shoot a quick video and just put it up and it'll look great. And every time I hear that, I want to grab somebody by the face, because that's not the way it works.
The money's involved in the thinking, dude. It's not just like the cameras and the whatever. It's the scripting, the writing. And remember, the car world itself is already down a notch. What I mean by that is you got to get the car. And it's specifically someone like me. I'll speak about me because I know me and I don't want to, have anybody think anybody else. I got to find the car. Then, by the by, I got to do the car. I don't just go like, and it's done.
Boom, it's done.
I really have to do it. So I'm like, damn, I got to do all this extra work to get the video versus, a workout person. Again, I don't hate the player. I hate the game, but I'm just not in the great, so if I was a workout person, there's this video thing. It's hard to explain to my wife, but there's a workout thing online, gazillions of views. She gets on there, very pretty girl, very helpful. I'm sure all the exercise, I'm an exercise guru or whatever, I'm sure they're all spot on, whatever. She gets on, goes, okay, you ready? Like there's no volume. Ready? Okay. And then she goes and she does her exercise for 12 minutes, like 2 million views in a week. I'm like, what is going on over here? I was like, that was like 2 seconds of production. Like, I'm going to freak out.
Right.
I'm taking a week to lick the inside of the tailpipe of this car to make a video. You know what I mean? So it makes it so that I'm getting the short end of the stick of that one, but I'm not complaining because that's just the way it is. But I think overall people need to understand, if you look at TV, this is my other argument. If you look at TV, you pay to have the right to have that cable streamed, shot to your house, however it's done, right? Then when you click on the TV, I still call it a clicker. That's how freaking old I am, right? I call it, I go to my son, where's the clicker? He's like, what? I'm like, never mind. So I go clicker. I said, you click the clicker, it goes on to, ESPN or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever show you're watching. And then in between the shows, what are the things that are in between the shows? We call them commercials. So you're paying to watch a show, and then in the middle of the show, you're watching a commercial, right? That's been the norm for I don't even know.
It's a million years since television started.
Whatever. So if you go to YouTube, YouTube has pre-rolls, mid-rolls, and end rolls, right? And so when you're watching a free video, did I mention that YouTube is free?
Yeah.
YouTube is free. And then you have the ads. I think it's become more of the norm now, but back in our days, listen to us, our days, channel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Remember how people were freaking out for the ads? And I'm like,
oh yeah.
Like how are we supposed to pay for any of this?
Exactly. Right.
So It's become better now, but I've always been terrified about putting ads in. And I talked to Farah. Farah's a bad example because he's Farah, but he's really good at that. He doesn't care. And I wish I had more of his gusto there, but I'm thinking of maybe putting some ads in mine because it's like, this is, if you want me to go, like I'm going back to Brooklyn. I have the Grand National, which we can talk about. I have another one, a Firebird that's been sitting there. Oh, I got to get a trailer. I got to take the day off. All these other things where it's like, it's not free. And so I'm thinking of selling ads in, and I would love to do ones like, have something to do with cars, but there's now with the size of my channel, they're like, your beard, manscaping is called, right? And
dude, I get hit up all the time with that crap.
Right. Manscaping, and then this internet company or whatever, but they're willing to pay big dollars to be able to. So that's the dilemma that I've been in. So to answer your question, YouTube has changed so much from how to entertainment to now it's like an actual real source of revenue. If you can figure out how to do that without blowing everything because you take 3 weeks to do one car, as opposed to an exercise video that's 10 minutes long and
$1
billion in one view.
So let me ask you this, because like I said, your channel, you're such a, you do educate everybody out there. Is there always that balance, or do you always have to have that balance between education and entertainment?
That is a really smart question. And my answer to you, that is right at the heart of my answer to you is this. And I say this to everybody that when I'm on set, and I have new people in, or you've worked with people that have never been on camera and they're terrified and all. Sure. You have to kind of set the tone. And I do this with dealerships, the Remac people, all these other big companies. I say, listen, I'm just being blunt here. Anybody watching this video right now that we're about to shoot, they could absolutely care less about Larry. They don't care about Ammo. They definitely don't care about you. And they definitely don't care about whatever it is that we're showing in the thing. And they go like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what they care about.
Like what's left.
Right. I said, what they care about is themselves, which is completely understandable. They want to be entertained. They want to be faster, stronger, get more women, get more men, get whatever it is. It's their focus. And I don't mean that in a negative way. That's just like survival in life and human being, right? So if you come at it from that perspective and you think, what can I do to help this person achieve whatever it is they're trying to achieve? In my case, it's not buying Ammo products. It's about making their car clean so that when they go to the car show, their friend says that's awesome or something like that, right? Or there's diarrhea or vomit or urine, literally. I'm not even joking. That's what I deal with all day long, right?
Sure.
Or urine in the back seat or spilled wine or whatever. How do I get that out so that I don't have to spend more money and have it replaced? They don't care about what product it is. They don't care about Larry going, hey guys, on today's episode. They don't care about that. Just solve my problem. And the problem isn't just how to get wine stains out or ink. Right. The problem is, how do I feel better about myself? How do I like entertain myself, or how do I get some joy from something I'm doing? So this moral of the story is like, over the last 20 years of doing this, my why, or what we call just cause, has changed so much. And it's really about sort of empowering everybody to safely maintain or at least preserve their vehicles, and to experience more of this therapeutic and sort of curative effect of cleaning cars. And I know you're like, what the hell was that? It's something that may never be achieved in my lifetime, and that's fine. But sometimes you look back, you're like, why am I doing all? I'm at that stage now where I have the building, I have the thing, I'm successful or whatever. I'm like, why am I getting, like, what am I doing? And it's really about, if I can help people, as silly and ridiculous as it sounds, but it's actually more important now during COVID and all that, not just for cleaning, but like we're all losing our minds because we don't have any more. We can't go out, can't go drinking or whatever people are doing to like get the steam out. I'm saying, hey, let's tip a cap. Let's give a little wink or a nod to go downstairs sometimes, wash your car, clean it, do it safely, do it properly, watch a couple of videos, put your headphones on, have a beer, zone out, and just be totally focused in on doing that one thing. And the words coming out of my mouth even sound corny, but I actually believe it in my soul. It's weird. I've been doing it for 20 years. And that is what I have sort of, maybe it's, I'm getting older or whatever. That's what I feel like the mission is now. It's not like to win Pebble Beach. I'm so over that. Like, it's exciting and it's cool. And I love the competition and it's great and all that, but it's really now about spending time with my family and my son. And that's the stage I'm at in my life. But when I'm done, this is where it sealed the deal for me. This was like 3 weeks ago. Stressed out of my mind, as you, Mike, I'm doing all these things. Every night I do 2.5 hours of emails and trying to help people. And when I say help people, I have a 1967, whatever. And it's very specific. I can't just be like, put wax on it. Everything.
I've got this $4 tire shine made of diamonds, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Why don't you?
How do I make that sparkle? So like I was done with this whole thing and totally stressed out. I need to go to bed. And then for some reason, I went downstairs. My car was already clean, the Macan in the garage. And I went down, I spent 10 minutes. I put my speakerphone on Pandora and listened to comedy. I like listening to comedy for whatever reason. And I just re-cleaned my car for literally zero reason. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to say like, and then I was transcended and I was probably freaking miserable afterwards or whatever. But for that 10 minutes, I was like, I was in my zone. It was cool. Listen to the comedy. I laughed. And I was like, you know what? Okay. Because after a while,
this is good.
How much money is it that you need to be happy? How many cars do you need to be like all these like things that I feel like I'm like an 80-year-old man now I'm going through. I'm like, I look at these older guys. I'm like, did they figure it out? Is the idea to win? Am I winning something? And then like the advice I get from mentors and older people are like, hey, knucklehead, it's not really about the winning or losing. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. They're like, no, it's not a definitive game. It's not like you start the first period, second period, and third period. I'm a hockey guy. And when 20 minutes is up, it's whoever has the most goals, whoever scored the most touchdowns, whatever. Like that's a definitive game. When you're running a business like this and you're doing this kind of life, I guess I'm kind of coming to this as we're talking about it. It's an infinite. It doesn't end until it ends. You see what I'm saying? So the end of the game is when you're dead. And so like, how do you? I don't know. I haven't quite figured it out yet. So I don't have any like cool philosophies or whatever. But like, I'm understanding that it's not that I win. It's about existing. Like I have to continue every day to grow the company and keep doing and getting my message out there and being the pillar, meaning I'm throwing back to the very first thing we said. I didn't have a CEO. I didn't have somebody that I could look up and be like, that is the man that I want to emulate and be inspired by. And I'm going to use his products and wear it across my chest. Now my goal, my mission, I'm learning as I'm developing or whatever, is that I'm supposed to be that pillar of light for the ammo message. I'm not necessarily supposed to be sweeping the floor and doing all the things that I'm doing every day, Mike, like I can't do anymore. It's about giving that message and saying like, this is what we stand for and what we're trying to do. As corny as that may sound, that's what everybody's trying to do in their life. And I'm trying to do that in my life and in the company. So, when you and I talk off basically my therapist, when I'm done with the day, I'm like, I can't believe this happened, blah, blah. And we talk about it. That's kind of where I've been at for the last couple of weeks. And you're the first guy we're doing it on podcast, which is whatever. To think about this is normally a phone call with Mike I have, but we just happen to be.
And then it's a lot more manic on Larry's end. And I'm just like, breathe.
I'm being polite right now. I brush my hair and my teeth or whatever it is. But basically it's the same conversation. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't know. That's kind of where, does that make
I still haven't been paid for my therapeutic skills over the years, which is ridiculous at this point.
Well, you stand right by that mailbox, buddy. It's coming.
Yeah, it's on its way. Check it. Free beer tomorrow.
Well, I mean, so I've got one final thing. And then if you've got questions, finals, just let me know. So this was very cool. And I don't know how many people actually picked up on this. So with everything that you've done so far in the detailing world, with crafting products, with kind of the education combined with entertainment and just kind of defining what an industry can be moving forward, right? One of your last videos had a very interesting thing. It had a video game. It had a small snippet of an ammo video game. And I saw this and I was like, what? Okay, just what is this ridiculousness now? Because apparently you've got a video game. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right. Yeah. So the industry has changed immensely since the day that, and I'm obviously not taking credit for that, but I think the explosion of videos have changed the industry tremendously. Yeah. There's been acquisitions, there's been tons of private equity. We can talk the whole business side until your eyeballs drop out. So ask me the question about that if you want, but let's just say the industry's changed tremendously from off the shelf stuff, a lot of direct to consumer. With that came a lot of eyeballs because it's become so popular. Think of it like this. I said this to Matt the other day on his podcast. Law and Order, the show Law and Order.
Sure.
Matt and I used to watch that in his mountain ear. That's how old his Ford, because he had all this TV screens and stuff. And then I remember because he would love that show. We would watch it and whatever. There's 50 versions of Law and Order right now, isn't there? Like,
I know. SVU, PDK, whatever. All over the place.
Like,
it's been on air for like 30,000 years now.
Exactly. The woman that's in there, forget her, the main star there. She's got to be worth
Mariska. Yeah.
Mariska. Yeah. So anyways, the point I'm trying to make is when there's something good that's going on, everyone's going to pile on top of it, or you get a much notice, or you're going to squeeze every dime out of that. So what's happened now is, if you think about it, the industry has grown tenfold in detailing. Everybody's got a product. Everybody's got a thing. I get it. There's tons of competition because of the awareness, I believe, in my personal opinion, of the YouTube videos and the fact that people personify cars. Hey, man, it's for guys. It's like, I don't really care. I mean, I guess I care what shoes I'm wearing, but not really. I don't have 50 pairs of shoes. Right. It's really about like what my car is decked out in, and like the rims. And I'm not telling you something you don't know, right? That's been like really pushed over the last couple of years because of Instagram and YouTube and stuff. Yeah. So now that there's that huge focus on detailing, and oh my gosh, it's profitable because it's products. Oh my gosh, people are buying it. Yeah. Now other industries go like, wait a second, we should probably make another SVU of that one, an ABC and a PBA, right? So that's where the detailing, so that's the background thought process. And I didn't realize that until, maybe a year ago when they approached me and they're like, hey, we want to make a video game of you. I'm like, yeah, cool. Get out of here. Like, 50, everybody's coming at me with some weird thing. And then they sent me the game that they've done. And it's called the Car Mechanic Simulator. Okay. Car Mechanic Simulator. And I was like, yeah, cool, whatever. Great. Yeah. And you go into it, you're like, holy crap, I'm actually repairing a car in this game. This was a year ago. Since then, the VR and the PC versions and Xbox and the PlayStation. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And they're like, hey, we want to make a game like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'd be interested. That's awesome. That's cool. Whatever. I'm young and hip and cool. And then 6 months go by. They send me the thing. And I'm like, it's literally based off of my barn fund. Yeah. And so, nothing's signed, sealed, and delivered right now. We're still negotiating all the stuff. But the truth of the matter is, at first I was like, I don't care. Whatever. Yeah, sure. Like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Have some fun. And then once I saw all the numbers and stuff, I was like, oh, geez, okay. Oh, I gotta put my, I gotta get out of my sweatpants for this one and like have a conversation here. So the long and short of it is, the game, barring any contractual issues or whatever, the game is supposed to come out in Q3 of 2021. And what that is multiple versions. The first version is a free version on mobile. And then which means you can detail Fords and Hondas and Toyotas and whatever, which is great and fun and cool, and it's free. And if you want the upgrade, it's $1 or $2. We're still discussing whatever it's called, the micro payment. And then you upgrade and you get the quote, this is not me, this is them. So I feel a little awkward, but it's the Larry upgrade.
Larry upgrade.
This is where, you guys who just listening to the podcast, you can't see it, but Larry's head actually just grew and expanded. Wow. And it's like he can't even walk out the door because it's so big. It's just bouncing.
Wait. Right, I need the Larry upgrade. Right?
You do need the Larry upgrade. Believe me, I understand how ridiculous that statement was.
Man.
All right, so you guys,
this is my favorite thing in the whole world.
I'm all about it.
So I'm gonna get so much mileage out of this.
I feel snippets being pieced off just this one thing is like the Larry upgrade, Larry upgrade.
I'm gonna have fun with
Larry upgrade. Oh god,
exactly. This is gonna be over my head forever. Anyways, you jerks.
Like a little ASMR worked in there. Little Larry,
the polisher, Larry.
Loving this,
Larry.
Anywho, thank you, Brian.
The mind wanders.
Yes, thank you. So focus, children. $1 or $2 upgrade, and then you get access to my shop. Then you can do Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and all the crazy stuff that kids want to do, whatever. And then you see it through my eyes, which is pretty cool, where like my hands come out. And then,
I don't know if I want to go down that path.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if I want to get in there, man. I was all about the hash brown, take my money, but all of a sudden I'm like, do we want to get in your head, Larry? I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a scary place. So that's the free mobile version, and then there's the real one when you pay for the actual game on PC, on your computer, or I mean, obviously PC and computer same, but Xbox, all the other ones that are not your phone. And then from there, it's the same concept. You get it, and you can do whatever you want, and then the upgrade is $5 or whatever it is. So that's kind of the concept. But it's ridiculously trick, and I'm spending an exorbitant amount of time. That's a whole other story on designing. Remember, these guys are video game guys. They don't know what they do.
Anything about detailing.
Yeah. About detailing. So so what polisher? And the polisher they brought out was like from 1960. I'm like, bro, that thing's on my wall, and I use it as an ornament. But like, I've never picked that up in 25 years. So like, inks. Oh, okay. We thought rotary. I'm like, no. We're not using, like a dual-handed rotary, like something that like the. Where you
looks like a weed whacker. Yeah.
I'm like, no, okay. So I'm basically consulting on that, like as if I was on a movie set and I was like I don't know, a real Navy SEAL or something, and they're doing a Navy SEAL video. You get what I'm saying, or whatever. So that's what we're doing, and hopefully that should come out. And if that works, that'll be freaking amazing.
That's great. I mean, this has been this is fun. I mean, I wanted to get Larry on here for a while. It's just scheduling. He's really busy. We're all running around. But as somebody who's watched from the beginning to see where it's kind of culminated right now, and to understanding where it's going to continue to go, it's been an absolute pleasure to kind of follow the journey and watch what has been achieved, not only just for yourself on a personal level, but just as the industry, has grown. And I have, to see somebody redefine an industry is a very neat thing. So guys, if you're listening to this, go back, start it again, and re-listen, because there's an unbelievable amount of wisdom in here that you should really kind of take to heart. So, dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Stoner.
No. Yeah, good.
Always amazing to see your face.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But Larry, thank you so much, buddy. I love you to death. You know that. And it's we got it now. So now next time you come on will be after the video game's out, and we talk about phase 2, where you are going to teach myself and Stoner how to detail a car.
Yes,
is that before or after the Larry upgrade? Because I'm really stuck with
you guys have to buy the upgrade. I'm not giving
buy the upgrade. Got it. All right.
There's a surcharge for your upgrade.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and of course, have people subscribe or whatever they can do to Ammo channel. That's always meaningful. I always tell people, hitting the subscribe button doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
Just
hit the button.
Just say thank you. Hit the subscribe.
Hit the damn button.
Yes, that helps. It's not just like it really does help. Meaning, because you can go to these people and be hey, I have X amount of subscribers. Can you help me out, or can you find a car for me, or let me borrow your flatbed so I
Sure.
So it's not just it's not a random thing. It actually is meaningful. So please subscribe.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon, and I'll expect my therapy call probably in a half hour or so.
Yeah, right after this.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for listening, folks. And again, please subscribe to the Hot Rod Barbecue podcast. If you're on Spotify, check us out there. Subscribe to it on iTunes. And if you are going to go to YouTube, make sure you go to the Hot Rod Barbecue podcast and hit that subscribe button, and we'll come to you every week.